In the headlines, government to build a comprehensive housing project at Warner for Dominica's young professionals. A veteran tourism stakeholder is concerned that Tourism Awareness Month has lost its meaning. And regional faith leaders agree that stigma and discrimination remain barriers for vulnerable groups accessing health care. I am Andrea Lee with the Channel 5 News, back with the details after this.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Family and Gender Affairs, Helen Royer, believes the families here are better prepared for the impact of natural disasters. Her comments come as the country celebrates a month of activities ending on 22nd June in recognition of International Day of Families, which was observed on 15th May. Royer says following Hurricane Maria of 2017, one of the major concerns of the ministry was the dislocation of families, which led to a worrying increase in sexual abuse among family members.
With any disaster, you will have some form of displacement. So we have had families having to, be moved. We had many of our children who left our country. And as I said sometimes last week, it's better even in the time of emergencies that you stay together as a family. You may not have a tarpaulin, but you can maintain the family values, and you do not know what happens outside there. And even on the 17th of April, when we held that national consultation, it was kind of a little shocking to me that we got information from one of the presenters that they had actually noticed the rise in sexual abuse among family members.
Royer says displaced families have been given a lot of assistance following the natural disasters, and this is restoring core values and stronger structures to family life in Dominica.
We are very happy that if we look at what is happening in Dominica, many of the persons who were displaced from 2015, the government has put programs in place, and the government has actually assisted them and continue to assist them. And we think for us, it is a time, if it is family time, to help those who are still struggling. And we know the government is doing what it has to do on its own. But as a ministry, if there's a way we can give a little moral support, we can encourage them, we can help them to build their capacity. And that is one of the things I always say, is that if a lot of times when we think of resiliency, we think it's maybe just your ability to withstand hazard or disaster, but we think about your personal life.
Royer says the ministry has been able to offer several forms of intangible support to recovering families, and this will help strengthen these building blocks of society for the 2019 hurricane season.
And we think as a family, a ministry with the responsibility for families, we may not have tangible things to give to the families, but if we can get them or link them with persons, with counselors at the Bureau, with adult education, with the programs that they do, she will tell you some of the programs that they do that can assist you in building your resiliency. Some persons who have dropped off from school, we provide those, the services. So this is the kind of focus we want as a ministry. So I think families by and large, and the support that they get, the overwhelming support that they're getting from the government and from different agencies, I think that will bounce back and will be better able to face any disaster, for the grace of God.
On to health matters. DLP candidate for the Roseau Valley, Dr. Irvin McIntyre, says Dominica has broken a few health records which the nation must be proud of. Dr. McIntyre says Dominica is on its way to being certified as a nation free of mother-to-child transmission of HIV and syphilis. He says there has been no mother-to-child transmission of HIV or syphilis in the past 10 years. Dr. McIntyre says the number of new cases and the prevalence of HIV in Dominica is lowest among the OECS countries. Government absorbs the full cost of HIV treatment and provides the services to HIV-positive clients free of charge. In terms of the incidence of tuberculosis, Dominica is among the lowest in the OECS. Infant mortality was lower in 2018 than it was 5 years ago. In other top stories, a veteran stakeholder in the tourism industry is concerned that Tourism Awareness Month has lost its meaning. Julian Morris has that story.
A representative of the Old Market Vendors Association, Evadne Saintville, has been involved in the tourism business for 27 years. She recalls that when Tourism Awareness Month started, it included all the stakeholders and provided a means through which they could further develop their skills.
And it was to really award the people, the stakeholders in the tourism industry, and the tour operators, the hoteliers, vendors, taxi drivers, and so forth. However, for the past 3 years or so, I've seen that downward trend where the stakeholders are not being recognized during the Tourism Awareness Month. And it left me to wonder what's up. During the Tourism Awareness Month, you would have like different talks, you would have trainings, you would have more activity, more interactions with the stakeholders and the relevant authority that's in charge of tourism. So we would have had more of that. I have seen that change for the past 3 years.
Saintville says vendors play an integral part in the tourism product and visitor experience in Dominica, and as such, more should be done to expand their skill set.
For an example, tell me why you cannot choose 3 or 4 vendors from every area to do a Red Cross first aid course, or have a seminar, have a talk, the importance of maybe vendors in the industry, or how vendors should be resilient in the tourism industry. Because right now we hear the word resilience, and you know our industry is a fragile one. One of the complaints is they sell so many of the Chinese product. Take a month or a few days and teach them how to weave maybe a basket, a mat, how to make a doll, a straw doll.
Saintville says she has brought her concerns to the relevant authorities but hasn't seen any action to address the situation.
The relevant authorities have heard it time and time again. Maria passed, Erica passed, Maria passed, and the relevant authority have not looked at the vendors to ask them what they're buying and what they're selling, how they can help, how, you know, they have to understand we need each other in the industry. It's everybody's business, they said, we have to play our part, we need each other.
During this year's Tourism Awareness Month award ceremony, prizes were distributed to Community Tourism Enhancement Competition winner, School Beautification Project winner, long-standing service in the music industry, promoting activities through social media and broadcast media, and tourism service providers also received awards at that ceremony.
In more developments, Prime Minister Skerrit has announced plans to provide suitable housing opportunities for the country's young professionals who have returned home following the completion of their studies overseas. Mr. Skerrit says the concept is to build a massive housing complex to provide adequate housing for the young professionals. The Prime Minister says he will soon unveil the comprehensive housing program, which will be built on lands in Warner, owned by the Dominica Social Security. He was due to have met with the board of the Dominica Social Security this week to direct them accordingly. The Prime Minister told the party supporters at a recent candidate launching that he would like them to have the same opportunities that he has access to, and pledged to do all he can to ensure that those who need it have a home. He said he was not giving people a handout, as critics say, but instead giving a hand up. The Prime Minister has reassured the country that, as promised, he would build 5,000 decent hurricane-resistant homes that they can be proud of. You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
L'année sim tout partout. Attention si vous êtes homme et bien femme. Visitez place santé pour examiner corps. Ça c'est un nick pour yo ouais si l'année pièce moun au lion qui ni maladie TB et bien maladie sexuelle. En compagnie moun qui ni maladie HIV P ni TB aussi. Savent qui l'année guérison pour TB. Ou ça vivre en bonne santé même si ou ni maladie HIV. Parlez by docteur. Prends responsabilité. Aidez du bout de sime maladie TB et HIV. Ou agir tout le monde pour examiner corps yo.
Welcome back. The Dominica Public Service Union has pushed back an earlier decision to review a go-slow which started last week.
The DPSU General Secretary Thomas Layton had earlier called on union members to embark on a go-slow, effectively reducing their productivity by 60%. The union leader previously announced that it would review the decision on Thursday. But an executive member of the DPSU told Channel 5 News on Friday the decision to review the go-slow had been postponed until next week. Incidentally, the DPSU's General Secretary said last week that government had been given a June 11 deadline to come to the negotiating table to discuss the union's proposals for the triennium 2018-2021. The union is threatening to take enhanced industrial action if government fails to meet or respond to its concerns.
A humanitarian aid organization is taking steps to strengthen the business environment among youth in the country. The International Organization for Migration, IOM, is looking to grow Dominica's cadre of young business people through collaboration with the Dominica Youth Business Trust, DYBT, to strengthen the programs and modules being offered to the youth.
We truly believe that starting with the youth, with the young entrepreneurs, is something that is really valuable. That program is ongoing, so we're strengthening the trainings that are organized by DYBT. So we will give a few modules, and we will also look if we can train and coach the trainers, and maybe next year even add modules and to make it even more professional.
Wegdam says the organization is also giving financial incentives to help more youth start and grow their own businesses.
This year, the benefit directly what we have is that we will give more grants to the participants of the DYBT training. So if this year, out of the 20 participants, the 10 most promising will get a grant which they can use for starting up their business, which is considerably more than the 3 of that was normally. That we hope that boosts something.
An entrepreneurial hub is also on the cards for the IOM as a further means to promote a healthy business climate among young entrepreneurs.
We also have secured funding for setting up, we call it an enterprise development hub. Think as a cool place. We're now discussing with DYBT a design for a container type of building, but it needs to be a building where you like to be. Innovative, hang out, where you can get a nice salad and nice food, where the internet is good and where ideas are popping up and businesses start or excel.
Faith leaders in the Caribbean have agreed to incorporate HIV messages in their faith-based work and activities planned.
That's the outcome of a faith leadership consultation convened at the CARICOM Secretariat in Guyana this week by the Pan-Caribbean Partnership Against HIV and AIDS PANCAP. The meeting formed part of a series of regional meetings with faith leaders under the PANCAP Justice for All program. Director of PANCAP Derek Springer challenged the meeting to utilize youth groups or clubs to propagate messages about ending stigma and discrimination. He noted that the HIV messages could be integrated into the holistic education of youth, especially awareness of social issues like teenage pregnancy and illegal drugs. Faith leaders agreed that stigma and discrimination continue to be significant barriers to vulnerable groups accessing healthcare, and that there was an urgent need for more education on the matter.
And the power struggle between Venezuela's President Nicolás Maduro and opposition leader Juan Guaido reportedly intensified this week.
The United Nations reported Friday that the number of Venezuelans who have left their country in recent years has surpassed 4 million. The UN Refugee Agency said the number of Venezuelan refugees and migrants rose by 1 million after November.
If Juan Guaido is going to become the interim president of Venezuela, he needs to win the backing of those who have up until now supported President Nicolás Maduro. On Tuesday, he met the leaders of one of the most significant power blocs in Venezuela, the Public Sector Union.
Our public workers are being kidnapped by the dictatorship. It's being kidnapped by the regime. Today, as a result of this meeting, of this great event, we will not continue collaborating with the dictatorship. So public workers aren't obliged to cooperate ever again, nor be forced to do anything.
On Monday, Guaido returned to Caracas after wrapping up a tour of some of the South American countries supporting his campaign. He was greeted by thousands of people called onto the streets of Caracas by the 35-year-old opposition leader. For his part, President Maduro addressed military leaders on Tuesday. He acknowledged the demonstrations taking place on the streets of the capital, but said the protesters should be ignored.
This Saturday, we are going to the streets on March 9th, an anti-imperialist march to commemorate the day of Bolivarian anti-imperialism. The people take to the street to fight. This Saturday, our people take to the street.
President Maduro was speaking during a ceremony to commemorate the 6th anniversary of the death of former Venezuelan leader Hugo Chavez.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
To end the news, the headlines again. Government to build a comprehensive housing project at Warner for Dominica's young professionals. A veteran in the tourism industry says the Tourism Awareness Month has lost its meaning. And regional faith leaders agree that stigma and discrimination remain barriers to vulnerable groups accessing health care. Feel free to contact us at news@marfin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful weekend.